Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame Satyamayi Parame Satyamayi Parame Satyam Jnanam Satyam Jnanam Jyotir Aravinda Jyotir Aravinda Jyotir Aravinda. You can come forward so that if others come, there'll be place at the back. So, if we look at matter as it is, everything appears to be discrete, separate people, and we live our life based on how matter appears to us. But if you penetrate this matter through the eyes of a microscope, obviously you'll see it as molecules and atoms, which are not even steady, which are constantly moving. And if you get a more powerful microscope to penetrate it deeper, you come to subatomic particles, which are also not steady. They are blinking in and out of existence at very, very high speeds. So high that it gives the illusion of a form. I keep giving you that example of that fan. If we increase its speed to 10,000 times its maximum, it'll appear to be a solid white disk and you'll be able to hold it in your hand. But that's the beauty of our sages. Quantum physics has discovered that now. But in ancient times, in Sanskrit, this world of phenomenal appearances is called Jagat, out of two words. Ja is born out of and Gat is Gati. The world of appearances born out of speed. Because at a very quantum level, things are moving so fast that it's appearing to have a form and solidity where actually there is no form and solidity. And then again, if we take the metaphor of the fan and it's what makes it appear to be a white disk, the invisible electricity. We don't see electricity, but it's electricity that's making it appear to be so. And in quantum physics, they talk about a unified field, which is not matter, not energy. It's a field of intelligence from which everything arises and takes the form it does. In Vedanta, what will approximate this field very closely is the concept of Brahma, the one essence that makes up everything. So, walking the sunlit path, the title of our talk today, is about slowly opening our inner vision so that we develop our own consciousness microscopes to see through the appearance that matter weaves and see the essence which is behind all forms. Because that essence and having a conscious connect with it is the magic that makes our life work or not. Because that essence is really all powerful. So, there's a story of a little girl. This is part of that beautiful book, Vignettes by Shama Kumari, where she's documented beautiful stories of people's interactions with the mother. So there was a girl's family who was very, very connected to the mother, and they lived in a village. And this girl was 10 years old, and she had to travel a certain distance to a school to give her exams. And she was going with her driver in her car, and in the middle of nowhere the car broke down. And the driver was a simple man. He didn't know how to fix the car at all. And this girl, because her whole family was connected to mother, there was nothing to do. She prayed to the mother, and they just waited because they couldn't move the car. And those weren't the days of mobile phones, so they couldn't go back, they couldn't go forward. She just waited and prayed. And they were in the middle of really nowhere, and suddenly a man comes up, and she tells her driver, go to that man and ask if he can help. That man turns out to be a car mechanic, and he's holding a kit ready to repair the car. Now, how do you explain this? You can write it off as a coincidence, sure, but mother tells us there are no coincidences. The point is, whenever we pray to whatever name and form, it doesn't even matter what name and form you pray to, but whenever we pray, somewhere we are calling to that essence, that unified field, that Brahma, that whatever you call behind matter. And whenever we call to it and it steps into the equation of the moment, everything changes. So this is not part of your PDF, but there's a beautiful passage in Savitri that explains this. I'll just read it out to you. A magic leverage suddenly is caught that moves it's not in the PDF. It's on my phone, but it's not on your PDF. A magic leverage suddenly is caught. So when we are able to connect with that something behind appearances, that's a magic leverage. A lever is an instrument that makes a difficult task easy. Physics will define it as such. So a prayer, a heartfelt prayer, is that lever which makes difficult tasks easy in life. So Sri Aurobindo says, a magic leverage suddenly is caught that moves the veiled ineffable's timeless will. The ineffable is something that can't be articulated, can't be worded, can't be explained. So that God essence behind everything is the veiled ineffable. So when we pray, we move the veiled ineffable's timeless will. A prayer, a master act, a king idea can link man's strength to a transcendent force. Then miracle is made the common rule. So actually that's what happens if that God essence, and remember it's one essence which is omnipresent. If that essence is present everywhere, then if I call to it from Bombay, the same essence is in America, right? It can respond to me in America and it can respond to me from anywhere at all, because it's that one essence which is present everywhere. So today we did our whole class based on that essence in the morning. The 11th Surya mantra, Om Arkaya Nama. Ark is that one essence which is present everywhere and in all things. And if we just remember this, that my hands are tiny, I can at the most reach here. But when I'm one with that essence is omnipresent, it's everywhere. Its hand can reach anywhere, change anything, move anything. But we have to make a conscious link with it. Yeah? So these beautiful lines, Savitri, I'll read it again without explanation. Just feel it in your heart. A magic leverage suddenly is caught that moves the veiled ineffable's timeless will. So when that little girl prayed, she called to that one essence, and that one essence moved things around to suddenly put it in that person's head to be there, to come, to carry a toolkit. The person maybe even wondering, why am I carrying this toolkit? But that one essence controls all minds. So if we appeal to it, it manipulates everything to somehow come to our rescue. That moves the veiled ineffables, timeless will. A prayer, and a prayer is a master act. We shouldn't write it off. A prayer, a master act, a king idea can link man's strength to a transcendent force. Then miracle is made the common rule. So this ability to connect with the beyond and draw it in through the equation of the moment in our day-to-day living is walking the sunlit path. As the mother calls her yoga the sunlit path, and it's based on this ability which all of us have, but I don't know how many of us use it. We feel we have to solve things ourselves, but it becomes so much easier when we invite something bigger than us, which is anyway walking with us. But if we don't hold its hand, we stumble in our aloneness, right? But if we reach out and hold its hand, it's anyway walking with us, right? So yeah, we explored this story also in our morning class. There's a story of a Cherokee Indian tradition where when a boy is to become a man, he's subjected to a ritual where he has to prove his manhood by spending a night alone in a forest, blindfolded, and he can't shout or ask for help no matter what he hears. So this boy was taken by his father, left in the forest, and he was blindfolded, and all through the night he heard all kinds of howling and roaring, but he had to just shiver in fright, keep quiet and wait. And maybe he thought, how unkind my father is, how cruel this tradition is, why am I being subjected to this? And then with the first rays, this father had told him that when you feel sunlight hitting your eyes, you can remove your blindfold. He was made to sit blindfolded the whole night. And when he removed his blindfold, he saw his father had been sitting beside him the whole night, watching over him. So this whatever field we call it, whether we call it Mother, Krishna, whatever, it's sitting beside us all the time, even when we feel alone. And if the boy through the night had known this, he wouldn't have been terrified, right? He'd know that however much an animal roars, if an animal comes too close, his father's arrow will shoot the animal down. So we live a terrified, paranoid, anxious existence when we forget this presence which is watching over us 24/7. And when we really call to it, we walk the sunlit path. There are other beautiful lines in Savitri, but there is a guardian power. There are hands that save. Calm eyes divine regard the human race. So that father who sat and watched over him the whole night represents those calm eyes. Calm eyes divine regard the human race. But when we shut ourselves away, it's watching anyway, but if we think otherwise, we cause ourselves so much anxiety and suffering, isn't it? So now this is in your PDF, but it's later. It's not among the first few passages. It's page 278 from Savitri. Behind our life, the deathless rose. The rose represents that divine presence. So between our lives and behind our life, the deathless rose. Across the covert air, the spirit breathes. Covert is hidden. The spirit breathes a hidden air, different from the air we breathe. So what the spirit sees as the deathless rose, we don't see, because the spirit breathes a covert air. Across the covert air, the spirit breathes a body of the cosmic beauty and joy, unguessed, unseen, unguessed by the blind, suffering world. The blind, suffering world is that boy, blindfolded and suffering in fear, not knowing that the deathless rose is behind, in between, everywhere, watching over him and protecting him. So, a body of cosmic beauty and joy, unseen, unguessed by the blind, suffering world, climbing from nature's deep, surrendered heart. So, for human beings, very difficult to surrender. But because trees and flowers and leaves don't have a mind, they don't think. It's easy for them to surrender, and it's easy for them to be naturally linked with this essence, with this deathless rose. So climbing from nature's deep surrendered heart, it, that is the deathless rose, blooms forever at the feet of God. So beautiful. So that essence is forever surrendered to itself. It's forever in love with itself. So there's another line in Savitri, all love is a yearning of the one for the one. It's the one deathless rose here which yearns for the deathless rose there. So it blooms forever at the feet of God, fed by life's sacrificial mysteries. So now we may, coming back to the Cherokee Indian story, we may feel that what a traumatic experience. Can you imagine sitting in a forest blindfolded? You think you're alone, you're hearing animals screeching all around, and you're not allowed to shout for help. So you can think it's a very traumatic experience. But having the courage to go through that, and when he opens his eyes and he realizes with relief that he was safe throughout, do you think he'd be the same human being ever again? He wouldn't be. So all the painful experiences we go through also, they help us to come closer to the deathless rose. They are perfectly planned. So that's what this is, fed by life's sacrificial mysteries. Very often we feel our happiness is being sacrificed and we don't understand why. So all those painful sacrificial mysteries are being fed to the deathless rose to bring us closer to it. It blooms forever at the feet of God, fed by life's sacrificial mysteries. Here too, its bud is born in human breast. So in the human being too, the psychic being in us is the bud where this presence is there. Here too, its bud is born in human breasts. Then by a touch, a presence or a voice, whatever awakens this bud, it can be the Guru's touch, a presence or a voice. When this bud becomes and blossoms into the deathless rose, the eternal rose, rose is called love for the divine by the mother. Psychic being represents love for the divine, and it's eternal. So beautiful that Sri Aurobindo calls the psychic presence in all things the deathless rose, the eternal love for the divine. So then by a touch, a presence or a voice, the world is turned into a temple ground. When we start walking the sunlit path, where we see this deathless rose everywhere, then the whole world becomes a temple ground, because everything houses that presence. I don't have to go to a temple to worship. Wherever I am, it's a temple ground. The whole world is turned into a temple ground, and all discloses the unknown beloved. I'll read this passage again, just feel it in your heart. Page 278, Savitri. Between Behind our life, the deathless rose. Across the covered air, the spirit breathes, a body of cosmic beauty and joy, unseen, unguessed by the blind, suffering world, climbing from nature's deep, surrendered heart. It blooms forever at the feet of God, fed by life's sacrificial mysteries. Here too its bud is born in human breasts, then by a touch, a presence or a voice, the world is turned into a temple ground, and all discloses the unknown beloved. And then this other passage from Savitri. I'm sorry, I'm not following the correct order in PDF. So this is page 458, Savitri. All that transpires on earth and all beyond are parts of an illimitable plan. Everything that happens is planned by the intelligence of that deathless rose. The One with a capital O means the Supreme. The One keeps in his heart and knows alone. Our outward happenings have their seed within. So beautiful. Our outward happenings have their seed within. So metaphorically, we have consciousness seeds inside us, in our karmashaya, our reservoir of samskaras, and as they sprout, we encounter different experiences. And if they are painful, instead of fighting the person causing me pain, it's always beautiful to ask, what can I learn from this? Sri Aurobindo writes in Savitri, wherever there is ignorance, there suffering too must come. So what is the unconscious seed in me of ignorance which has invited this? And if you really look, very often you will see, what seems normal also to me, when I become more conscious, that normal becomes unconscious. Are you understanding what I'm saying? When I'm unconscious, everything is okay. It's normal to be like that. But the more conscious I get, the least bit of unconsciousness in me which I pass off as it's okay to be like this, but it doesn't feel okay. Can anyone give me an example? Think about it. Okay, think about it and tell me.
If you are eating food consciously, one day if you are not, then you actually realize that because I was not so conscious, I ate more or I ate.
Right, that's a good example. And then you'll suffer an upset stomach, a bad mood, because brain and belly are sister organs. If your belly is not functioning, you'll not be a happy person. So anything that you do unconsciously has its repercussions, and the whole idea of this deathless rose, this field behind, is to try and make us more and more conscious. So every little, the more you grow on the path, every little unconscious behavior and you'll get hit. And instead of fighting the hit, if you ask, what was my unconsciousness that invited it? Very often you'll get an answer, and you'll be surprised, because a month back you would not have even called this unconscious. So if we destroy those seeds of unconsciousness within us, the tree of suffering won't keep sprouting again and again, that repetitive cycle of the tree of suffering. Our outward happenings have their seed within. And even this random fate that imitates chance, I said no earlier, Mother says there's nothing like a coincidence. So this random fate, it appears to be random and it pretends to be chance. this mass of unintelligible results, I can't understand why it's happening like this, are the dumb graphs of truths that work unseen. So we don't understand it, but there's a truth behind it working out our life. So in Life Divine, Sri Aurobindo beautifully writes, what's logic to the infinite intelligence, the intelligence of the deathless rose, appears to be magic to the finite intelligence. Magic I can't understand, it's unintelligible, but it's logical from that standpoint that things should be as they are. So, and even this random fate that imitates chance, this mass of unintelligible results, are the dumb graph of truths that work unseen. The laws of the unknown create the known. The events that shape the appearance of our lives are a cipher, a code of subliminal quiverings, unseen vibrations, which rarely we surprise or vaguely feel, are an outcome of suppressed realities that hardly rise into material day, that the mortal mind can hardly understand. Material day is what comes into our vision. We can't see it. They are born from the spirit sun of hidden powers. So beautiful. So these happenings are born from the spirit sun. We just did Arkaya Nama in our morning class. The spirit sun of hidden powers digging a tunnel through emergency. The emergency is evolution. It's imperative that man evolves because we've reached a point of such intense self-destruction that the only hope for us is a change of consciousness. I was watching this very interesting clip which flashed where this person, I forget his name, but he says that the environmental crisis is really a spiritual crisis, and he goes on to explain why is there so much carbon emissions, so much whatever is clogging the earth, because human beings are dissatisfied and they keep feeling that by consuming more and more they'll be satisfied. But this one more trip abroad, this one more t-shirt, and of course we know how many liters of water go into making every cloth, but we don't care about that. Even if we have 10, we'll buy the 20th one and the 30th one, and it's not an environmental crisis, it's a crisis of consciousness. Because we are not content and happy inside, we keep over consuming in a bid to be happy. And it's like quenching your thirst with salt water, no? The more clothes you have, the more you want. The more trips you go for, the more you want to go. So it's never ending. It's not going to really make you happy, and it's destroying our planet. Na? So it's really an emergency. Humankind has to take evolutionary steps, or it's really heading towards self-destruction. But of course, there are guardian powers, there are hands that save, and calm eyes divine regard the human race. But we shouldn't take that also for granted. We also have to do our bit. So, they are born from the spirit sun of hidden powers, digging a tunnel through emergency. So, this sun of hidden powers keeps lashing us, keeps trying to wake us up to our truth so we take steps in the right direction. Digging a tunnel through emergency. But who shall pierce into the cryptic gulf, encoded something deep down, and learn what deep necessity of the soul determined casual deed and consequence? So, Sri Aurobindo is saying that, you know, if I have an argument with somebody and I feel hurt, chalo, that's a casual deed and consequence. In the larger scheme of things, it's not important. But he's saying, what deep necessity of the soul determined casual deed and consequence? The soul wanted to grow out of this ignorance. So it plotted to invite this argument into my life. so that I could look at what was the unconscious seed in me that precipitated this. You understand? It's so beautifully written, it's even difficult to explain. You should just sit with it and it'll explain itself to you. But who shall pierce into the cryptic gulf and learn what deep necessity of the soul determine casual deed and consequence? Absorbed in a routine of daily acts, our eyes are fixed on an external scene. We don't see the deathless rose behind. We are only looking at what's happening, judging, creating narratives. We hear the crash of the wheels of circumstance. Sometimes circumstances come crashing down on us, and wonder at the hidden cause of things. We don't understand why is it crashing like this. Yet a foreseeing knowledge might be ours if we could take our spirit's stand within, if we could hear the muffled demon voice, the voice of the deathless rose within us. Then we'd know exactly what is happening and why. Okay, now this is a beautiful passage from Paradise in Plain Sight by Zen Master Karen Miller. One night, a girl looked up at the sky through a veil of clouds and saw that half the moon was missing, because moon goes around and it waxes and wanes. The moon is missing, the moon is missing. No one could convince her otherwise. She was somebody who didn't know about the lunar cycle. So suddenly one night she saw a full moon and then half the moon was gone. In fact, she had seen it shrinking for some time, and every night came more proof of her worst fears, that this moon, which is so beautiful, I'm losing it. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. There is something you don't have, a virtue, quality or substance you think you need to acquire. That is the moon. The metaphor is your ideal of what you think you are, what your life should be, what your relationship should be. That's the full moon. And sometimes before your very eyes it appears to diminish. No, you don't live up to your ideal of yourself. Don't look so unhappy. We are coming to the end of the story. You'll smile. So we don't live up to our ideal of ourselves. We see our relationships sometimes falling apart. Everything that's a beautiful full moon, what we are attached to, seems to diminish. There is something you don't have, a virtue, quality or substance you think you need to acquire. Courage, strength, patience, wisdom, compassion. As soon as I name it, you see it's missing from you. Quick to disavow the suggestion that you're complete. I am only human, you might say. I'm not at all perfect and whole. I'm injured, inadequate, and yes, even a little robbed, specially robbed. The girl, she tried filling the hole in the moon, with tears, shrieks and bluster. We understand the moon is a metaphor for the lack in our lives. She bought a toaster, a Sub-Zero, a pile of shiny objects. They overflowed her house and storage unit. All of it made it a mess, but nothing more. You can't fill a hole that doesn't exist. When the moon is is there a hole there? We know it's a full moon. It's just being covered by the earth in course of rotation. So if you try to fill a hole that doesn't exist, how can you do it? You'll just make a mess. And so exhausted, she gave up and sat down, head heavy, heart laden. She didn't notice the shadows shifting into light, the wind lifting, the clouds parting, the days passing. One evening she opened her eyes and saw the moon. It was full. Of course, it had been full all along, doing what moons do, reflecting light. Only our perspective changes. We rob ourselves when we mistake the unreal for real. Your heart is always whole just as the moon is always full. Your life is always complete. You just don't see it that way. How can we wrap our mind around these words? Your heart is always full. The moon is always whole. Your life is always perfect as it is. But you'll tell me it's not perfect. I have that dysfunctional relationship with so and so. I'm not happy with my job. I'm not even happy being the person I am. Many of us will say this. Then how can I call my life perfect? Where is the perfection? Come on, think. Where is the perfection?
It's within.
Where within?
In the heart, the psychic being, the soul. Which is
The deathless rose. Remember, behind, between our lives, the deathless rose. And we are more truly that than what our mind tells us about ourselves. There's that beautiful line in the movie Peaceful Warrior. Your thoughts don't tell you any more about yourself than the freckle on your nose. The freckle on your nose doesn't tell you who you really are. Your thoughts tell you all sorts of things about your life and you, but they are not really so true. They appear to be very true, but you just have to examine the narratives in your mind and how often they've seemed so convincing, but they've not really been true. When you're out of the madness, you see that all that you thought was gibberish. It wasn't true at all. So at that level, you're always perfect. And even in manifestation, see, if a road is being made, they'll put up a sign, work in progress. You can't call that rubble and that broken down road imperfect, right? It's perfect, but it's perfect work in progress. So each of us are work in progress. We are perfect work in progress at every stage of the journey. And while in manifestation we are work in progress, deep down where we are, that unified feel, that mother, that deathless rose, we are already complete and whole. So the Vedic rishis promise us from the Upanishads that you are Nitya Tript, you are eternally contented. You are Nitya Purn, you are eternally whole. There's nothing lacking in you. Even in the Gita, Krishna, even when Arjuna is not at his best and not wanting to fight, etc., Krishna tells him, Arjuna, even now, you are my Purnasya Purna. You are the completeness of my wholeness. And Krishna also tells Arjuna that, Arjuna, my words to you are my words to humanity, down annals of history and the future. So each of us is Krishna's Purnasya Purna, no matter what we are on the surface. So our moon is always whole. It just appears to wax and wane depending on the narrative in our mind. So your heart is always whole, just as the moon is always full. Your life is always complete. You just don't see it that way. Just let everything and anything be so as it is, without using any kind of standard by which we make ourselves satisfied, dissatisfied, happy or unhappy. Then you'll see the plain and clear fact. Roshi is Karen Miller's master, told me on the recording. What is he telling her? Just let everything and anything be without using a standard by which you say this is good, this is bad, this makes me happy, this makes me unhappy. Again, this is echoing the Gita where Krishna tells Arjuna that a devotee of mine is one who's in a constant state of Shubh Ashubh Parityag. Shubh is fortunate, Ashubh is unfortunate. A real devotee of mine is one who has given up the distinction between fortunate and unfortunate and receives everything that comes from me as fortunate. So to be in that state, we have to do what Roshi is saying. Just let everything and anything be so as it is, without using any kind of standard by which we make ourselves satisfied, dissatisfied, happy or unhappy. Then you'll see the plain and clear fact. Roshi said, all that time I'd spent listening for the hidden meaning in his words. I hadn't even heard a word, Karen Miller says. There is a pattern to it all, a precise and invisible orbit that brings the full moon around without fail. So if you're just patient, whatever you're seeing as lacking in your life, when the season comes, when the orbit of the moon is complete, you'll see the full moon again. And that's so without fail. In the end, it all comes right. But we have to, like see in the Cherokee Indian story, in the end it was all right. But we have to just go through that cycle with patience and faith when we see the moon missing. So now we come to the first page of the PDF. So we've established that walking the sunlit path is about somehow opening our inner vision to being able to connect with that hidden essence which is there in all things. Yeah? Now the question is, how do we connect with it? Right now I'm so caught up with my thoughts, with my imaginations, that I'm hearing about it and it sounds exciting, but it seems so unreachable for me. It seems like, how do I find it? How do I even begin to look for it? So let's do a slice of a meditation we did in this morning's yoga class. So let's sit tall, pull up the spine, open the heart. So we'll work with the 11th Surya mantra, Om Arkaya Namah. Ark is the essence of the deathless rose, the psychic being, the psychic essence, the unified field for quantum physicists, which is present everywhere in all things as the inner controller. So we'll be chanting this mantra in the 6 ways that are given. Uccha japa aloud, manda japa soft, karna japa whispering it, upanshu just moving the lips, a japa without moving the lips, without sound, just mentally articulating, and finally just like a vibration without any words. So I want you to put your right hand at the center of your chest, left palm on it. Gather all the scattered threads of your awareness and plunge them into the center of the chest. We call it the heart center, but it's nothing to do with your physical organ heart. So go deep within. If it helps you, visualize the deathless rose as a beautiful sun, or the mother's image, or the image of your highest reverence. And to know that this essence in my heart, it's everywhere in all things, controlling all outcomes, everything from within, to work out the highest good of all, to make the moon which is appearing to be lacking, to complete its orbit and be visible as a full moon again. So connecting with this essence, first Uccha Japa, Om Arkaya Namah aloud. I'll chant it once. Those of you who were there in the morning class know it. You can chant with me, rest of you join in. Om Arikaya Namah. Arikaya Namah. Arikaya Namah. And now Manda Japa softly, but staying focused in the heart. Arikaya Namah. Arikaya Namah. Now Karna Japa, just whisper it like you're playing Chinese whispers. Arkaya Namah. And see the effect of the different ways of chanting on the space in the heart. Now withdraw the whisper and just move the lips without any whisper or sound, saying Om Arkaya Namah with just the movements of the lips. Then let the lips also be still, and a japa without sound, without movement of the lips, just repeating it in the heart. Om Arkaya Namah. That one essence spread out everywhere like a safety net, controlling every event, every circumstance, to keep me safe and to take me to a better place in consciousness. You can relax your hands or keep them there. And now withdraw even the words. Just stay in the heart and breathe as if an inner ear is hearing the echo of the mantra. It's just a spandan, just a smile, just a stillness perhaps. And if you like, make an experiment. Today, whenever you don't have anything to think about, mentally just keep repeating Om Arkaya Namah. Mother said a very beautiful thing. Once she saw, Mother could of course see auras. So she saw the aura of a person and she said that, are you doing the practice of mantra japa very strongly? And the person said yes. And she says, anyone who's constantly with a very powerful mantra japa, it's visible in the aura. The mantra forms an energy field around the person. So if you keep saying Om Arkaya Namah, if it calls you, it'll change the way you interact with everything. You'll touch objects differently because they also have the same arc. You won't be in a rush, you won't throw things around because you're handling the sacred. Remember, the whole world become a temple ground. Then with a look, a smile, a touch, when the deathless rose flowers, the whole world becomes a temple ground. And everywhere is seen the hidden beloved. So, and also when you talk to people, Sri Aurobindo gives us such a beautiful, sobering thought in his synthesis of yoga. He says that any emotion you feel towards anyone, you're feeling it towards God, because everyone is God. So do I want to feel like that towards God? That's the question. Also in his everywhere in all his writing, this is splattered. In his beautiful sonnet, Because Thou Art, he writes, I see thy secret gaze beyond, what are the words? In all eyes I meet thy secret gaze, and in each voice I hear thy magic tune. Thy sweetness hunts my heart through nature's ways, nowhere it beats now from thy snare immune. So a snare is something that catches us, and it's usually unpleasant. But the snare of the divine presence and being attracted to it on all things is a beautiful snare to be caught into. Behind all eyes I meet thy secret gaze, and in each voice I hear thy magic tune. Thy sweetness hunts my heart through nature's ways, nowhere it beats now from thy snare immune. So we come to, okay, there's this beautiful mantra from the, I think it's Chandogya Upanishad. Om Kam Tadeva Kam. Yadeva Kam, you can find it on your PDF, maybe it'll be easier if you see it. Om Kam Tadeva Kam. Yadeva Kam Tadeva Kam. So in Sanskrit, Kam represents the contracted, the focused, okay? And Kam represents the vast, the infinite. So the very Akshar Ka in Sanskrit means the sky. So Kam means the vast, and Kam means the contracted, the focused. So it's like in one of Meera bhajans, she tells Krishna that, oh Krishna, you knew that I would never be able to relate to you as the blue of the sky that you are, because Krishna's infinite consciousness. So taking mercy on me, the blue of the sky contracted to this blue body and came down so that I could relate to it. So the deathless rose, the unified field, is the Kam, but it becomes the Kam in each of us, the limited, the focus, the contracted. So look at the beauty of this mantra. It's saying Kam, the contracted, Tadeva, that alone is Kam. The contracted and limited is actually the unlimited, Kam. Yadeva Kam, whatever is limitless and wide, Tadeva Kam, that is also the small. So it's basically dropping the distinction between what appears to be limited and small and what is limited and vast, unlimited and vast. So when the vast Kam contracts, it becomes the mask of Kam that the moment wears. The moment is limited, right? Time is actually eternal, infinite, the eternal now that people talk about. But in the moment it wears the mask of Kam. This is the mother's eternal game. She contracts into a mask which is the appearance of the moment. When Kam is recognized to be only a contraction of the eternal wideness Kam, the mother drops her mask and Kam releases its contraction to yield that glorious moment of the truth that sets us free. So let me explain this. Suppose there is a person who we are interacting with and the interaction is unpleasant, and my ignorance is judging that person, thinking the person is only what my mind is telling me the person is. So that is Kam. contracted, limited. But if I recognize that this come is come, this limited person is also the deathless rose, because everything is the deathless rose. The mother says that everything is me wearing a silly mask, so never get caught up with appearances. So when we recognize that behind that appearance of come, it's come, then the mask drops. That's the game of hide and seek the divine plays with us. He keeps wearing these masks, but when we recognize him behind the mask drops. Mother says it in another word, that if you approach the most terrible person from the highest in you, the highest in you is the come in me, right? When I approach the most terrible person from the come in me, the come in that person is obliged to come forward, because it's the same frequency calling. But if that person is contracted and I also contract, we both just contract each other more. But instead of contracting, if I expand, then I invite expansion in that person also. So, when come is recognized to be only a contraction of the eternal wideness come, the mother drops her mask and come releases its contraction to yield that glorious moment of truth that sets us free. Then unhappiness is exposed to be one play or mask of the eternal bliss. The secret of the game is to call out the mask till it drops. The contraction of silence. So come is actually silence, and all thought is born out of silence, right? Just the way Krishna's body came out of the blue. So the contraction of silence come is thought come. When a thought arose and the silence that became the thought was called out with come, the contraction released, the thought dissolved. It's beautiful if you twin with this mantra and you have a lot of thoughts and you just say come, calling to the silence from which the thoughts come, you'll see the thoughts change. So it's a very beautiful mantra. Let's all chant it together. Shut your eyes. Oh, you may need to see the mantra, so then keep your PDF open. Kam tadeva kam yadeva kam tadeva kam. All of us. Kam tadeva kam yadeva kam tadeva kam. 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 And now with the eyes shut, just stay with this one word, come. Whiteness, eternity, stillness. Sanskrit being a language of vibrations, When you say a word, it releases its juice of vibrations into your being. So just stay in your heart, and whenever a thought comes, just articulate come, recognizing that every thought comes from stillness, and I am more truly the stillness behind the thought than the contraction of thought come, which becomes the thought. So behind the incompleteness I constantly feel when I'm thinking, I am the wideness of come, the stillness, the deathless rose, which is always complete and whole. Hands together in a namaste. Let's conclude with 3 Oms. So before we do that, just to bring this into our daily life, I've given you many ways. Choose what works. One is to be constantly with the mantra Om Markaya Nama, recognizing that in everything there is that one supreme, all-powerful, all-loving, all-intelligent, omnipresent essence. And in anything I do, to do it in partnership with that essence. Anytime I'm disturbed by the appearance or form the essence wears, to say Om Arkaya Nama or come, or just with my intelligence, recognize that beyond form is that essence which is always faithful to my highest good. Even if the form appears to threaten, through the form, the essence is working out my good. So take a long, slow inhalation, breathe out with Om.